near you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Hidden Realms, hosted by me, of course. And Friday night. Hope everybody's off to a great weekend. So far, it's been a beautiful day here in northern Michigan. Balmy 70 degrees, which in March is pretty darn cool. Well, actually, it's pretty darn warm, but you get the gist. So we'll kind of wait for people to slide in. I imagine on a Friday night and being this nice, people are out and doing their own thing. For sure. You know, uh, spring's right around the corner, so hopefully we will be doing getting out in the woods pretty soon. In the meantime, there's a lot of exciting things that'll be happening, and you'll hear more about it as the time gets closer, and we can talk about it tonight. Mr. Dirt Road Bigfoot, what's up? How we doing? Thanks for stopping by on the Friday. Wondering how if you've been able to get out in your woods there, Icebox. So tonight, I did quite a bit of talking last week, and we looked at some pictures that haven't been shown before. And tonight, I thought I would read from a few books that a friend had, and they're actually pretty darn interesting, especially if you live in Michigan. Hey, Lori, how we doing? They're actually called Mystic Michigan, and they're very interesting. So, and a lot of this stuff actually happens right in my neighborhood. So we're going to read a little bit of that coming into it. It's good to see you, Lori. Thanks for coming in tonight. As people get in, I do want to go off script a little bit tonight, off. And because there's an incident and it's a kind of a safety thing, and I just want people to be safe when they go out. Lori wants to know, can we talk about Bigfoot communication? Hey, I'm open to it. I can give you my thoughts, and while you're in chat, you can give me yours, and we can compare notes. That's for sure. I mean, I am always up for talking Bigfoot. Lenny, how we doing? Good to see you, my friend. So, what parts about communication would Lori like to talk about? There's, I am definitely no expert on it. I have just my own ideas, and from talking to other people. Lenny's doing good. Lori, Dirt Road got a bit of a negativity. As I said, we cannot know if it's communication or language. I guess you could have communication without language. Animals have their own form of communication for sure. Bigfoot screams me, run. Yeah. Well, you can go with me to Icebox because I don't run. You can get away and I'll just go meet Jesus. Lori Gibbs, I think they have language, but also no expert. No, I believe they have a language too. There's too many, statements as far as people experiencing it and the way they are able to coordinate certain things. I was just saying that his language not known as so many witnesses or chatter. Yeah, exactly. The Sierra sounds obviously, Ron Moore proved that there's definitely some kind of vocalization language, and it doesn't sound like you should necessarily what's the term I want to use? Just because you hear Bigfoot say it, from what Ron Moore had said, it doesn't sound like you necessarily want to repeat it to it because you don't know what they're saying. You know, if he's calling you a tiny little dirt bag and you repeat that, he's probably going to get pretty upset. And considering odds are at, you know, 6 to 12 feet and 400 to 1,200 pounds, you're going to be at a slight disadvantage. And anybody's welcome to chime in because I am open to ideas. So if anybody in here with Icebox is definitely getting his experience out there now. I don't know the extent of it. If you actually heard screams and uh, the knocks, there's a lot of ways to communicate without vocalizing. Kind of like a Morse code, if you will, with the tree knocks. Or yeah, I'm a tiny dirtbag in the picture if I'm ready to fight with anything. Yeah, exactly. Not going down without an issue. That's for sure. So, Lori, what do you think? Vocalizing his language. No, I totally believe that too. You know, whether it's even through grunts or screams, clicks, tongue pops, all that has been observed multiple times. You know, um, I wish there was a way where more people could come forward with what they've heard, but because of the stigma that goes with that, I think a lot of people stay back and we don't get to hear more of the vocalization points because people, the outside world has their opinions as of the validity of Bigfoot anyway, and let alone being able to communicate and to say that you saw Bigfoot's bad enough, but then to say that you heard them having a conversation or that they were gibbered, samurai chatter to you makes it even worse. So I think there's a lot of details that people leave out intentionally on these reports. So if we had a way to get them all together and figure out the circumstances that happened and what happened prior and then what happened after, as a way to try to break that language barrier. Dirt road Bigfoot, every scream, growls, howls, etc., a form of communication. I don't think they do anything without a purpose. Everything they do is far different from us as far as everything they do needs to have purpose, where with our lifestyle, you know, uh, modernization, technology, and everything, we definitely will do things without a reason or a purpose. Where Bigfoot, everything they do, is pretty much life and no life. So being seen, not being seen, heard, not heard. If they're heard, a lot of times, maybe there's a screw up here and there, but I think it's intentional because anytime I've heard the footsteps, it's after something else happened. And I think they want to make a point that, yeah, I'm here. So it's time for you to maybe go. Lenny, there is so much we need to learn from these beings. We need to know for a multitude of reasons, for sure. Absolutely. It would definitely make things more copacetic while you're in the woods. If you know what to do, what not to do, what to say, what not to say, if they happen to be in the area, you can avoid ticking one off or accidentally stumbling on babies or something and getting in between them, which would obviously be a very bad thing. Lori Gibbs, I got in an argument with other big podcasts, said only communication, not language. I'm saying, how do we know if that is not a language? Well, I got to be careful to say that. Let's read that again. Said only communication, not language. So that would be like saying deaf people have no sign language because there's not a vocalization. Sign language is communication, so it's language. I don't understand why they would say it's just not language. If you communicate, you're talking to somebody. It's communication. In my humble opinion, you know, just like a tree knock means something. They're telling you, and there are people out there who will better explain it. Again, I don't know the exact nature of one knot, two knocks. From everything I've gathered now, and with talking with people who have way more experience than me. Three knocks is not necessarily a good thing. It usually means there's somebody in the alpha to come take care of a problem. Wild Bill, greetings. How you doing? Tree knocking is a form of communication. Absolutely. I don't think they're doing it, just to let you know they're there. Why would they do that? I think it's communication to others that someone's in the woods with them. Language is vocal with understanding what is said. I agree to a point, but if I write you a letter, don't I write in a language? Without saying anything. So now we're getting nitpicky though. So we could debate that all day. Reverend Wild Bill, how we doing? Everyone, greetings from Atlanta, Georgia. Just saying we do not know. Lori Gibbs, sorry. Just saying we do not know if it's language or just communication. Where do we go as researchers of interested people to say yay or nay? Dirt Bigfoot, yes, correct. Lori Gibbs, happy day, Atlanta. I bet it's gorgeous down in Atlanta because it was 70 here in northern Michigan. So the real Bigfoot doesn't have to be spoken. Exactly. That was what I was getting at. If it's two people using the same form of, call it language, because just like, ancient people use petroglyphs and hieroglyphs and everything to communicate what was going on or leave pictures of, animals back in the day. Yes, Dirt Road, who has a degree in this. Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and definitely talk about, to be honest, is there a difference between communication and language? There's different languages, so different forms of communication, as they say. Uh, Sign language and just writing. So let's have a little fun. Let's look up definition of language. Or difference between language and communication. The difference between stock and broth pops right up. Like I'd say, I'm a fat pig right here on the YouTube. Between language and communication. While often interchangeable, language is a system of symbols and rules used for communication, while communication is the broader process, meaning through various mediums, including language. So pretty much interchangeable, but it sounds like communication is the broader umbrella term. So we all learned something here, I hope. That's why I love the chat, because you guys can ask the questions and we can go off on a completely different tangent. Lori Gibbs, absolutely. Brian Barfer, I come from where area Bigfoot petroglyphs is in petroglyphs, Tula Indian Reservation. Oh man, that would be cool to be able to get in there and see those. I wonder how old they are. And yes, Linda Thompson, hello. Lori, I love the chat, Brian. And I love having you guys here, like I said, because I love being able to answer questions, or because a lot of times I learn something like just now. It's always good. Did you get to see it? Oh man, pictures, or didn't happen. Come on. Hello, David. Agreed. Happy Friday, y'all. Just because they may not need to speak to communicate doesn't mean they can't. Yeah, because then you get into the whole, telepathy thing, communications. Lori, thank you very much. It's very kind of you. Mr. Skin Kwando, hello, my friend. The weather's getting nicer. We're going to have to hook up and go out there. Yeah, Lori, that's what I've always heard. There's definitely things that I will not be privy to because you have to be pals with the tribal elder to see it. So, and I can see why they, keep it under wraps because Lady Wolf's here. Long time no see. How we doing? Yeah, lucky you, Lori. That's for sure. Got out there to be able to see something like that. That's, history. The real Bigfoot, when I heard what I called mumbling, could have been language between another creature. Yeah, absolutely. Because if their hearing's better than ours and they don't have to talk as loud, what might sound like mumbling to us could be a whole conversation between them. You know, oh my God, look, he's wearing the frickin' cargo pants today, bashing us for the clothes we're wearing or the backpack we're carrying with all the equipment to try to see him and probably won't. Hey, Wolf, we're doing good. Everybody's here on a Friday night joining, so absolutely love it. Yeah, because I have audio and there is some point in the audio where you can hear them. Um, I'm assuming it's them. Let's go with that because I didn't see them. But what I think was them, you can hear, tree breaks and banging. And at one point, you can actually hear a little bit of the samurai chatter. And I don't know what happened, but one got really torqued off because all of a sudden it goes from blah, 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 to rah, 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 rah. And then everything kind of quieted down like dad blew a gasket because Junior put the, tree fort together wrong or something. So, and then, ironically after that, it was about an hour later, the noise continued and then you can hear something walk toward the recorder and then something scratches the top of the microphone. So whoever it was played with me and knew that the recorder was there. Lady Wolf, do you still use the peanut butter in the jar? No, Lady Wolf. I got busted for that. The DNR got involved, and I had to promise that no more feeding the. They call it the bears, but no more feeding the wildlife that was out there. Skin Quando, that was around here. Yep, that was out in Benzie County where that happened. So, looking forward to getting back to Manistee. Lady Wolf, that does stink. Yeah, because it's half the fun was finding the jars and see what was going to be on them and to turn around and not be able to do it now. Luckily they're still there and doing some different things now with blue stones and stuff to try to get reactions. But yep, no more peanut butter. You get in trouble. Skin Quando DNR didn't bust me. Yeah, you don't want them to because once you're on the radar, you're going to be there for a while. I literally have people out there now writing down, when I go in and when I come out, and I'm sure they check to make sure I didn't leave any gifts for the people out there. The real big besides a real old bear would beat you if you were. Yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, the old bear would As he put it, see if I can recall this word for word when he first found out what I was doing before we had a chance to talk. Sweet and low box is still in the freezer, Lenny. That's for sure. That is for sure. But I am talking to people who may be taking that off my hands, and we'll get some actual results to see if it's what I think it is, or if it happened to be some 400-pound drunk hillbilly out in the woods who needed to poo, and I found it later. BF's loved it. That was my next question. If they're still around, glad to hear they are. Yeah. So the nice thing about that Lady Wolf is there's even Sasquatch Chronicles talking about the fact of less than a mile from where I'm at of seeing Bigfoot several times back in the late 70s and early 80s. So the action there goes back quite a ways. And even how the conservancy of local legend lore has it is true. Um, they've been there for 100 years. Larry Gibbs, Bigfoot, you are in Michigan. Yep, Northern Lower Michigan, Laurie. The local lore says that the original owner of that place bought it with the intention of living there. And within just a matter of months, Lori, okay, just a member of the family, could be a 400-pound hillbilly. I'm a daughter of a hillbilly. Yeah. Sorry about that, but if I get a name and some DNA, maybe we can do ancestry and find out if they're related to you. But the local legend says that they bought it with the intention of living, farming, and almost immediately after completing the cabin, started Linda. They didn't like nuts or honey. Yeah, they were kind of funny about that. Peanut butter, yes. Nuts and honey, not so much. No crunchy. They don't touch crunchy. And what happened was they get the cabin built and little things started happening. Trees were getting broken near there. The cabin started getting slapped. Footprints around the cabin, and they got apparently to the point where they're so aggressive that the people literally just abandoned the property and never came back. And that was supposed to be in the late 1800s. Lori gives us severely connected. That could be. Yeah, they abandoned the property, and then finally, at some point, the original people passed, and the descendants sold it, and they made it a conservancy to keep it from being, what's the word I'm looking for? Where a bunch of people building houses and stuff on it, because one side of the road already has houses. The other side's a beautiful 250-acre conservancy. So trails and be able to get down to the beach and the whole 9 yards. Live in Sterling Heights, Michigan. Oh, Scott, I hope you live in the good part. I heard that's rough. What it gives you, like donuts and apples. I've heard that. Funny enough, I actually put a honey bun out once, and it was there several days, and they never touched it. So I unwrapped it and left it, and still nothing touched it. So it was really funny that even the ants, the deer, and any of the other wildlife never touched that honey bun. And they used to be my favorite snack. And it was like, well, if trash pandas won't eat it, maybe I should really rethink my life choices on my favorite snack, because that's sketchy when you leave something that sweet and nobody will touch it. Develop. Thank you. You know, old and trying to read chat and, make sure I read everything. And so you guys know how much I appreciate you here. I've seen a few bandit candidates on the jury. Now I'm wondering. Yeah, exactly. I mean, did they just move, or something force them out? And there is a foundation to that cabin up there. So, maybe there is some credibility to what's out there. Brian, you have the best and open platform. I appreciate it. Thank you, Laurie. I try my best, because the only reason I'm here is for you guys. So the fact that you're willing to come in, listen to me ramble is, I appreciate it. Plus, like you said tonight, we started off, and I'll still read a couple stories from those books because they are pretty interesting, and it's amazing how many of these books I'll go through, and we'll just do a couple tonight. But Mystic, Michigan, and how many of them are local to me. So they do. If you're rubber on, you always have it. Thank you. The whole reason I even got into talking about this was because of the fact that it did habituation, and it kind of bit on the backside, and come out to let people know probably shouldn't do that. Plus, anything I can share that may help somebody else. Like tonight we got if you can find them. A friend of mine gave me. She didn't give them to me. These are loaned, but she got them 25 years ago, and Scott Dodge Park is my backyard, and I've seen a few things in the park. Like what? Now you got me interested. So let's have open forum, Scott. Don't tease us. Do I need to purchase books, etc.? Lori, anything you can find, and a lot of the stuff's free on the internet, but some of the, like, I don't know if these books are still in print or not. You can get more information because the information isn't redacted. Like, let's see here. Like, to give names and even locations. Like, here's one. I'll read off it, so if I don't answer comments, you'll have to forgive me real quick. But the river that flows both ways. Greg Wright, owner of the Thundering Aspen Hunting Lodge near Mesick, knows an incredible phenomenon in the Upper Peninsula. Somewhere in the wilds of western Upper Peninsula is a river that flows both ways with Class 4 rapids. The water for the river comes down from the high country over about a mile stretch. The water for the river drops in elevation around 1,000 to 1,500 feet. As you walk down this river, you can see that it picks up speeds. As the water reaches the lower area, it is picking up tremendous speed. There is a place where the river has a cut narrow gorge into the rock, and the end of this narrow gorge is a hole. The rushing water going into the narrow gorge has picked up tremendous speed, and the pressure by the time it has reached this hole. The water shoots straight out of the hole from this gorge at cannon strength. The water blasts a rock across from the hole. It hits the rock, splits in half. One half of the river continues down the gorge. The other half of the river smashes into the rock with such velocity that it somehow bounces off and begins flowing in the opposite direction uphill. Then it bends back and flows downhill. The sight is described as somewhat unbelievable. Directions as how to get to the spot are just about impossible to explain. Hunting guide Gary Wright may be one of the few people that can get you there to this spectacular place. Once you can watch one river flowing in two directions at once. So, let's see. And there's all kinds of these little stories. There's one here we'll talk about. There's even one that references a place that's called Gravity Hill. And I myself have gone there. And it's one of those supposed to be an optic illusion where you park at the bottom of the hill. Hey, Lorna, how you doing? And you put your car in neutral. Scott M. Now here we go. This is what Dodge Park. So we ride our mini bikes at night through there. We seen something man-sized with red eyes grabbing a tree. Do you remember how big it was, Scott, or was it something that kind of scared you to the point where you stuck to your bicycle seat? It's got a Cumbria River Gorge. The Elskin Quando, did you go where I was talking about the river that flows backwards? Here's a good one because, the fact that everybody thinks the Great Lakes, because they're freshwater, are completely safe. And when I lived in Buchanan, I had heard about a potential shark bite down in Lake Michigan. Believe it or not, there are some who claim that there have been shark sightings in the Great Lakes. An unidentified Michigan man has been interested for several years and has done his own study. Sharks go up freshwater streams. They can live both fresh and salt water as long as they have something to eat, he said. In the 1950s, a man was swimming in Lake Michigan. There we go. People saw a fin come up out of the water, and a man was attacked by a bull shark. This attack was reported in one of Chicago's major newspapers. Whether this happened on more than one occasion is a matter of further investigation, but the possibility it's ever to happen again borders on impossibility. And that's probably due to the new electric, or the newer, compared to back then from the 1950s, electric barrier that cuts off the river that goes into the Great Lakes. Because otherwise, there's definitely reports of bull sharks, up into the middle of the U.S. So Gravity Hill, exactly, Skin Commando. And I've been out there and played for, I hate to say it, but more than an hour, seeing how far down the hill I could go before it backs up. And the really weird thing is that when it backs up, that it goes to a church. So it's almost like they're trying to suck you into the religion there. The thing by the tree is 5 to 6 feet tall and huge hands wrapped around a tree. Oh, sounds like a definite potential juvenile hanging out. Juvie squatch, that is, we'll say. How long ago was that, Scott? And then there is, this one was interesting. There are so many researchers have stated they definitely do not recommend feeding them because they become reliant and can get quite unruly if you stop feeding for any reason. You had a similar experience. Yes. That was what they got unruly, and the people who they were getting unruly with called the DNR, which in turn uh, worked their way and showed up at a friend's house who gave her a card for me to call them, and that was how the DNR got involved. And no more peanut butter. It was due to them being unruly and throwing peanut butter jars in people's yards and peeking in the house. Scott M. Dodge Park connects 4 different parks over 1 million acres. Oh yeah, plenty of room for a clan to play, or more than a couple clans to play around. Probably deer and everything in the area too, along with the raccoons, and I mean that's quite a landmass. Oh, it's only 5 to 6 years ago. That's pretty cool. And I apologize now. If you can hear it, Bear has reached 9 months old. And in people time, that means he is in his terrible twos. He hears me recording and is not happy and voicing his opinion on it. I heard too, David R. Not sure if it was a regular feeding pattern that stopped for whatever reason. Yeah, you can get them where, if you can imagine, a toddler that you've been feeding on a regular basis. Now that toddler is, 8 to 10 feet tall and 1,000 pounds. What kind of tantrum they could possibly throw. And if you ever seen the movie 8 Mile, we live between 16 and 20 miles, Scott. Lori, Scott M. Yeah, if we could find old M&M, we can find Bigfoot. Exactly. Poor guy has to watch his daughter's graduation from a lunchroom. Daily Dose, the most adorable fur baby. He is adorable, and it's a good thing because of the fact that terrible twos have not helped much with my sleep, that's for sure. Love the guy to death. Uh, Another interesting one, this one's non-Bigfoot related, but again, it gives a location and where people can go if they want to see these, along with names of people to contact. So it's pretty bold of this book to speak out. And this one's kind of really interesting. I'd like to go down and see it myself because people who live in the Everett area have noticed a strange phenomenon going on. It appears as if the graves are literally aglow. A number of people have been to the cemetery and recognized the glowing stones as a fact. However, everyone has a different story as to the cause of this phenomenon. Dale Spivey of Leroy, Michigan, has been to the site. We were at the graveyard one night. We had gone there to see the glowing graves. We made our way to the edge of the graveyard and can see tombstones glowing from the end of the room, or end of the road. There are 3 tombstones that glow. The stones set in cemetery so that the 3 are positioned in relation to each other as if to produce a triangle or a pyramid form. Spivey said some who have visited the site say that the glowing stones are merely reflecting light from a nearby business. Others say that it's impossible. They believe the lights from the businesses are too far away to reflect on the stones. There are those who argue that some type of fluorescent material was used in the stones. The bottom line is the stones glow. There are people who have visited the cemetery who say that while viewing the stones, they have noticed an unusual amount of static on their radios. It has been suggested the electromagnetic energy has been the cause of it. There is no proof of this, however. Various disturbances have been caused by fluctuations in an Earth's magnetic field. One possibility is radio static, and the glowing stones may have caused by a form of electrical discharge in the Earth's atmosphere. It's one theory. Perhaps you could form your own if you choose to visit the site. The best place to see them is from the first road, 80th Avenue, towards town from the cemetery. Drive a ways down the road, turn off your car lights, and look out across the field. After your eyes adjusted to the darkness, you should be able to see what looks like small sparks coming off the cemetery near the ground. So if you can imagine going and seeing gravestones glow, but not only do they give you, directions, they even give you, you can see it, there we go, maps, so that you can go check these places out for yourself, which is pretty cool. Good night, Lori. Thank you so much for the dono, and actually for starting us off on a pretty cool subject tonight. So instead of going to books, we got to talk about Bigfoot communication and learning the difference. Scott, I'm on vacation in Gatlinburg. 35 minutes off pavement, I heard a crow and a cow communicating there. There are no cows on the mountain. Yeah. Those 800-pound owls can always be interesting too when you hear them going off, or sandhill cranes where there are no cranes because it's at night. So it makes you wonder who's out there. As we started talking about earlier, the communication, just the fact that we don't understand it doesn't mean that they don't have language and communication. So here was the one I thought was kind of interesting and funny at the same time. Bizarre bird attacks in Michigan. Strange stories have survived through the years. It was super loud also. Yeah, that's you probably had a few 100-pound crow and a cow that actually walked on 2 legs. Skin Kwando just looked at graveyard. Yeah, it says I visited night with to show glowing gravestones. Yeah, these books are, I mean, definitely gonna have to make notes before I give them back because there's definitely some road trips in here. And the history is kind of fun too. Peter Follett of Traverse City, right where I live, was attacked by a large hawk in the summer of 1997. The incident occurred while Follett was out riding his mountain bike on a trail between Green Lake and Grass Lake Dam. Grass Lake Dam east of Benzonia. So, and that's one place I actually do go a little Bigfooting too, because of the fact of how the salmon run. I was out riding on the trails, exploring, if all of a sudden, I turned off-road and heard a weird noise, unlike anything I had ever heard. The bird gave out a screech. It sounded like it was putting out some kind of attack call. I glanced behind me, and to my amazement, a huge bird was swooping down at me. The bird was an off-white, gray color. His wingspan was at least 5 to 6 feet. It became evident to Follett that the bird was going to attack him. When the bird was about 4 feet from Follett, he dove off his bike. After the bird made its attack, it retreated back up in the tree. At this point, Follett thought he was safe. However, after Follett made his way down the trail, the bird came back and tried to attack him again. The second time, Follett took a spill trying to keep from being attacked by the huge bird. It became evident to Follett that he would be attacked again if he rode down the trail. That's when he got off his bike and tried to walk it down the trail. There was also a man who was attacked by a bird in the mid-90s. This story reported in the Cadillac News, although many would attribute such a bird attack sinister to one as in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. This was probably not the case. It's likely that those who have been attacked by birds in Michigan include birds in a nesting area and likely protecting her young. For more information on bird attacks, locate and call your local Department of Natural Resources or the radio services. You imagine walking down, riding a trail, minding your own business, 800-pound crows to hear, especially when the call ends up with a pig-like grunt. Yeah. I seen stick X's on the road leading to our cabin as well. Yeah, you definitely get, it sounds like I need to come see you, Scott. Come check that out. The Daily Dose. People forget wars such as 1812 actually had long-term environmental changes on the Great Lakes. There's no telling how many creatures got displaced in and out of the lakes. Oh, exactly. You talk about and the amount of shipwrecks and everything else that has happened through there. I mean, there's something, what is it, 10,000, over 10,000 wrecks just in the Great Lakes. Scott M. My Aunt Susie owns Shear Shack in Rapid City. I spent my youth summers on Torch Lake. We did also have something rock the camper. That was 30 years ago. Scott, I have a good idea where you're talking about because I lived in Alden and in Rapid City. So I'm trying to think where Shear Shack is. That's right on the main road. But that's another place I think could really, it's not really that densely populated up there, and it's got pretty thick woods. Scott, were they on the pathway or among the trees? Oh, that's a good question, Lorna. There was another one more in here I wanted to read to you. There's actually one. I think this is it. Referring to there we go. Art Kappa, Michigan Bigfoot hunter, and he shows a 10-inch his print compared to the footprint he cast himself. So he's definitely knows his stuff. Art Kappa of Mayville, Michigan is one of Michigan's most unique hunters. While most Michigan hunters hope to bag a buck in the fall, Art Kappa hopes for his own catch, Bigfoot. Now, I haven't read this, so I'm going to be reacting with you. I hope he's not actually trying to catch one. Kappa has investigated Bigfoot sightings in Michigan since 1968. For nearly 30 years, I have investigated between 200 and 225 Bigfoot sightings in Michigan, which, according to BFRO, they have fewer reports than that. So right there tells you how much some organizations are willing to put out. There are a lot more sightings than what people realize. I believe there are a lot of hunters who have seen the creature who haven't announced it publicly. They keep it quiet. One of Kappa's last investigations was in Mayo several years ago. There were some people hiking on the Osable River. which I believe was the one where they recently caught no, it was the Cass River. That's my mistake. The Bigfoot with the baby crossing. Hiking on near the Sabo River. One of them saw a movement in the pine grove and then heard a horrendous scream. After the creature ran across the river and into the wilderness, Kappa has cast the footprints which he claims were made by Bigfoot at one of the sightings. The largest plaster cast I have from a Bigfoot site is almost 23 inches. So that matches the biggest one I found and puts them at roughly 12 feet, according to the math. Right. And Scott's Pass were right until connected to the post office. Yeah, Russell, I was just reading what you might find interesting books about mysterious encounters in Michigan and talking about a gentleman who just had found a 23-inch print. However, one of the casts I've ever seen was from a sighting from Ironwood in 1981. If you look at the cast, you can see how the creature was propelling itself by digging its toes in the sand. The steps the creature was taking were 42 inches apart. The average human step is 28 to 29. He also has recordings of strange animal screamings, which he believes may have been made by the creature. I'm an outdoorsman. I know my animal sounds. He says, I've heard unusual sounds by bobcats and other wild animals. The sounds were recorded in 1985 and unlike anything I've ever heard. In addition to having casts of the footprints, recordings, and strange animal sounds, Kappa has hair samples, which is really interesting, which are believed to have come from Bigfoot. Texture of the hair is similar to that found on a collie dog. However, if you were to send a sample into the laboratories of many scientists, they would not call it a Bigfoot, but rather an unknown species, which I agree wholeheartedly with. After nearly 30 years, Kappa remains intrigued by the ape-like creature. I'm interested in a creature like Bigfoot because he's a species that science says cannot exist. A lot of people have said that they have seen this creature. The cast I have, along with hair samples and recordings, have me convinced there's something out there. Kappa says that Bigfoot are probably nomadic creatures that travel and never stays in one spot for too long. I think some are nomadic, and again, my opinion. But at the same time, I think some do hang around year long just to maybe the food source is so good, so they don't need to move around. Maybe move within a certain area. David Ross at 12 feet. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was like a half inch per foot. Scott, and first time seeing a Squatch route was Marysville. Hey, there we go. That was Mayville. 30 feet from it on a dirt bike with 10 deer chasing us. It just turned dark. Bigfoot was behind a tree and it looked like Harry and the Hendersons. I thought that was probably the best, even though it wasn't a serious movie, best Bigfoot costume by far. Only 12. Now, were you interested in Bigfoot before that, Scott, or was that the first time, and what triggered the curiosity and exploration? The Daily Dose recently read this on Reddit. You smell them before you see them. I have a story, but it would take too long to type. Closest thing I'd describe the smell would be to raw earth. Mixed with body odor, mixed with mildew from wet clothes that's been sitting on the sun for a week, mixed with clothing that was 200 years old. The backyard stank of it the next morning. Oh, I agree. When they do give that off, I think they do have some control over it. Again, my opinion. I'm no expert by any means, just an enthusiast. And I think it's a pheromone they can go off that smells like fresh dog poop and hot garbage that have been outside in the rain and then turn around 90-degree weather the next day. I just sent you a video. Skin Coin does sent me the Art Kappa Fellow should be some good homework. Oh, thank you. Yeah, because I had never heard him to that point. It's amazing how many people are really taking this serious. So there were broken branches, daily dose. So there were broken branches in the yard up to 12 feet high in the trees in his yard. Russell Easterbrook's interesting. 18 inches is the largest track I have cast. Where was that at, Russell? I wonder if location is part of the determining factor in how big they get. You know, if the food supply is like really plentiful, are they kind of like snakes where there's indeterminate growth? The faster you feed them, the bigger they get. If you want to stunt the growth, then there's not as much. You don't give them as much food. So I had no idea what it was till recently. So I'm putting my experiences together. I recently got the bug at 40. I'm 46 now. I'm putting it all together. I've had an abduction experience also. I am fortunate enough to say I've never had that happen. Oh, Lower Canada. That's cool. Lorna, has anyone heard that the females give off a pretty floral odor? I have not heard that. I don't know if anybody in chat maybe has heard that. Russell would probably have a good inkling there. As far as I know, I don't want to say they all stink, but they all can give off some nastiness when they decide to. But part of that's probably diet too, just like somebody eating a salad and somebody having a Taco Bell burrito. Be a difference of the musk given off. One thing, like I said, I wanted to address this beforehand, but I'm going to address it now. I'm going to get off topic for a minute. If you get in a situation where it seems like someone is harassing or you get a creepy vibe, tell somebody at that place, especially if it's a place you frequent. We're dealing with an issue now at the gym where somebody mentioned somebody actually following them home, one of the members, and we take it very serious. And once one person spoke up, we had several speak up. So now we have to put together a bunch of statements and stuff so we can make everybody feel safe at our place. And I want everybody out there to be safe. So whether you're male or female, if you had an issue that was ongoing, this person had several accounts stalking on Facebook and Instagram, and even followed the person home at one point, that's going too far. These places are not meat markets. And if you don't get the hit once, then there's an issue. And if you're the subject of that unwanted attention, let somebody know, because if it's happening to you, it's happening to more people. So be safe out there and let people know. Don't just blow it off. Russell says females may give off a scent. I mean, you can definitely, because you got male and female hormones, it just says what they are. Oh, see, there you go. Jackie Barnes. I've heard several accounts of females give off a floral scent. Even if you feel like a Karen complaining. Yeah, exactly, Daily Dose. You need to bring awareness to this because, like I said, once one person spoke up, I approached a few other people that I thought had it, and then they all spoke up. So I'm having them all write statements, take pictures of the exchanges in social media, the different accounts. So then that way I'm not just coming up to the member and saying, hey, sorry, you got to go because of this, and have them challenge me. Then I can go, okay, we can do this quietly, or I can put this all on social media and show what a nice person you are. So exactly. See something, say something. The world's crazy enough. We want places like gyms and other places safe for everybody. Yeah, we do have to feel to be polite, especially when you're dealing in when you're someone who has to deal with the public, like, you know, uh, cashiers, pharmacists. Allison, how you doing? Welcome. Uh, I even go so far because our pharmacists are overwhelmed that I know they don't get breaks. So I found out what their favorite kind of soda or water or flavored water is. And if I need to go get a script and I know they've been slammed, I'll go buy them water and a snack or something and take it back to them. And you can't believe how appreciative they are because they're just overwhelmed. So just a simple act of kindness like that can really cheer somebody up, especially when you got people who are impatient, waiting for prescriptions in line for 20 minutes. And I get it, we're all busy, but at the same time, they have to help people one at a time. Yeah, especially when it's a gym 4 hours a day. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you feel like you might be there 6 hours just to avoid the 2 hours the predator might be there. So predators know this about people wanting to be polite. Yeah. And this guy's one of the nicest guys that I've talked to. Would have had no clue. Absolutely. I'm still stunned to learn this about him. And it's kind of disappointing because I really like the guy, but at the same time, can't have it. Doesn't matter what my personal feelings are. The safety of the members will always come first in my book. Scott and my in-laws live in Cadillac on Forest Lake on the main road. There was a huge dream catcher in the wood line made of sticks. We had rocks thrown at our tent in the campgrounds as well as stick structures. Scott, that's crazy. How long ago was that happening? Daily dose for everyone appreciates Jim. Oh, thank you. I've been doing it for close to 40 years now. So I love the gym. I love the fact that people are all there for the same reason, whether they're bodybuilding, powerlifting, weight loss, injury rehab. We are all there to go there and be a better version of ourselves when we leave. So people need to quit filming and making fun of people on TikTok because we are all there for the same reason. Stats, all your stuff is pretty recent and sounds like you should be on YouTube instead of me. I'm just lucky enough to have a platform and share. And like I said, having the chat and you guys being willing to come in, shoot the crap with me for a while, I have a good time doing this. So as long as people are willing, I will be here, especially with some health issues. I'm definitely more eager to be on here for as long as I can be and get information out and learn from people. And Scott M in the last 10 years, I guess it's all happened. LOL, is that normal? Scott, I'm gathering that I'm looking at it as being lucky and being blessed because there are a lot of people out there who intentionally look for Bigfoot, research them, and never see one and never get a tree knock or anything. They're just looking because they believe in them, but get nothing. So I'm saying, is it normal? No. Is it awesome? Yeah. Effing awesome. We'll go that far. In my book, some people, you see one and then they get traumatized and then they're done with it, which you can't blame them there either. Because if you don't believe in something and it turns up in front of your car, that's going to make you question the rest of what's not real in your own bubble. Jackie Barnes at Area 58 Museum in Oak Ridge, Oregon. They have what looks like a staff with a woven dream catcher on top. I was told it was found in a well-known Bigfoot area. No, I've never heard that. I've never heard of them attaching it to like a staff. That's pretty interesting because I did, Linda and I did find what looked like, at first I thought it was just a big asterisk, but when you look at the picture, it looks like a giant dream catcher because it's not only got the, X's in the middle, but it has the giant border on it as well. So to me, that's what it looked like was a giant dream catcher. But it had to have been close to 6 feet across, laying on the ground, perfect in between the trees. I won't lie, whatever it was in the park on my bending bike was scary. Yeah, the 8-footer I saw that escorted my friend and I out was scary too, but I'm just dumb enough and stubborn enough to go back and want to learn more about them. Probably if one day if I suddenly disappear for a few weeks and we hear a sad story, everybody on here who question my sanity can put in the comments, see, we know what Bigfoot would get him. He should have kept doing the peanut butter. They were going to get their Jeff one way or another, and here's the revenge. I think it was a long branch that was woven at the top. It was cool looking. I'd like to see that. Russell, could be ley lines. Ley lines as far as why there's so many interactions at one point, and then the people are just lucky enough to be where those ley lines are to have experiences, is the question. Let's see. There's one in these books I really wanted to read, but the paper fell off, so now I can't find it. Because it's about just a couple miles from me in Grand Traverse Bay. They found what looks like Stonehenge, but it's either 40 feet of water or 90 feet of water. So it makes you wonder how the heck, and it does. It looks just like Stonehenge with, the rocks standing straight up and across one another. And the fact that it's literally into my backyard was pretty cool and figuring it's thousands of years old, it's definitely nothing that they did. And it's like, how did they get them down there? And what was the point of building it underwater? I wanted to read it and find out. There's an interesting one. Let's read about Michigan's hypnotic animals. And we had hypnotist specialists in Michigan, so let's all learn about hypnotic animals in Michigan. So there are a few Michigan animals which appear to have hypnotic powers. There have been weasels who have been known to confuse their prey by doing a weird dance for them. Weasels have been seen running around in small circles, leaping and dancing as they go. As they dance, they keep getting closer and closer to the prey until they are close enough to eat them. Such researchers think that the weasels do this on purpose. Others think the weasel has an intense irritation, such as a parasitic worm in its brain. Whatever it is, it's spastic. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time. Some people claim that snakes have hypnotic powers. An English missionary named William Ellis once described watching a snake hypnotize a mouse. Some claim that when the snake fixes its gaze upon the prey seems unable to move. However, this strange snake gaze may have something to do with the fact that snakes have no eyelids. There may be other Michigan animals which have hypnotic powers. If you know of one, we would love to hear your story. And it's actually kind of weird because if when I think about it, the night we were watching a raccoon, you could see it like it was mowing the lawn, and I couldn't do anything but stand there and watch it as it got closer and closer. So maybe its own little way of hypnosis to jump me and mug me for the bag of Jiffy I had in my backpack. David Russell, I just remembered where I think I heard about female squatches smelling nice. I believe I heard it from an interview. Well-known Bigfoot habituator Robin Haynes. I love Robin, so Robin would definitely have a thing going on there. Happy someone else has heard this from Lorna. I hope I don't butcher this. Hello, Latro. So, holy crap, we already killed an hour, people. I'm gonna wrap it up. This was a lot of fun tonight. I want to thank you guys. With the daily activity I have sometimes, it's nice to get on here and Robin has a great story. Robin's got a lot of great stories. Robin has looked at several pictures for me and pointed out things that I didn't see, um, to the point where I took a picture of, the huge trees that they have as far as being completely horizontal, yet they're laying 15 feet in the air and somehow in between other trees. How'd they get there? I took a picture of it from several different angles. And Robin looked at it and said, "Well, what about the Bigfoot?" It's like, "What Bigfoot?" And she circled it, and looked like a 7 or 8 footer actually tucked up real tight against the tree that never saw it when I was taking those pictures. If Bigfoot, wanted to get me, he could have just stepped off that log and would have been like a grape under the shoe. Oh, she's from Michigan. I didn't know that. Well, that would be cool to hook up with her, go Bigfooting. Lorna, do you think they are curious about us or totally indifferent? I think they're curious. I think we're their reality TV. We're their version of The Simpsons to keep them entertained. I mean, if you think about, I know the conversations I've had with friends walking around, and if they can understand the English language like I think they can, at least a few words, they got to be just doing everything they can not to barrel laugh, because my friends and I have said some stupid stuff while we're out in the woods. Scott, I'm where you at, Traverse. Yes, I live in Traverse City. I do a lot of looking in Benzie and Manistee counties. Although there is some stuff happening in Traverse, which I need to get out to. Somebody saw a family, what would appear to be a papa, a smaller mama, and then about a 4 foot juvenile. So I want to get out there and check things out. I think they're often curious about us and what we were doing. Yeah, I mean, think about how different we are from them. They run around and that's their house, that's their property, their environment. I don't want to use the term property; people will lose their mind. But that's their environment in which they live, and here we come with the backpacks and the bottled water, and you know, probably the dogs more often than not irritate them. So Jackie Brown, I think they always find this highly entertaining. Oh, they got to. I mean, especially when they mess with you. I mean, there's been times when I'm not even going Bigfooting. Bigfooting is the last thing I want to do. I just want to go take a walk in those woods and put my headphones on, left alone. Last year I did that, and within 30 minutes of my walk, I get a rock into my earphone. So pull it off. I'm like, what the F? Because I got a potty mouth. And that they just had to be laughing at that. Look what we made him do. I mean, not far from Forest Lake. Go check out the hiking trail at Forest Lake. It's worth it. I'll have to do that at Forest Lake. I've never heard of Forest Lake. Stevens Lake's hot right now. So if you get up here, Scott, check out Stevens Lake. And I heard there's a lot of rock throwing and it's not fish jumping. Jackie Barnes, yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just like when we go out in public, we people watch. Whether we like to admit it, you see somebody doing something goofy, you stop and take a look. And to them, some of the stuff we do has got to be goofy. The idea of throwing a ball for a dog and the dog brings it back. It's like, then you throw the ball again, the dog still go gets it. It's got the video of Bigfoot laying on the river's edge on a bend and it gets up after being yelled at. I'm pretty sure that has to be Forest Lake Trail. Forest Lake is by Skidway. Yeah, what was it? There was a story. where was it? I think it was Kalkaska County, where a guy was out in the woods and he heard what he thought was somebody snoring, but it was way too loud for it to be a person. And then he saw, what he thought was a large person, thought it was a gigantic homeless person for some reason, curled up, laying there and just snoring like a chainsaw, and yelled, "Hey, isn't that a little bit loud?" Trying to mess with him. And when it stood up, it was over 7 feet and ran off into the woods. Skincondo Sea Force Lake in the UP. I want to go, and sometime when we can get, my circumstances are different, we get some camping in and we'll get this some overnight stuff. Because I know when I go out at night, if they're around, it's off the chain. There's lots of signs that they're around, and they let you know it, follow you. 75. All right. Well, as much as I want to stay here and chat more, which I would love to do, but kind of ran out of time already. So I'm going to wrap this up. And I want to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for being here. I really can't express how much it means to me that you guys are willing to come in and listen to me ramble. We will be getting more guests on too. It's just a matter of scheduling conflicts with it being Friday night. So, but we're working on it. Give you a little insight. One of the most controversial people in Bigfoot. We're trying to work out the details. I'm sure the chat is going to be divided on that one, but it'll be a lot of fun at the same time. So the fact that he might be willing to come on is fun because he's watched the show, he's seen the chat, which again I am so grateful for, because of the fact that how good we are to each other in this chat. And we keep things respectful, even if there's a difference of opinion. There's never any insults, there's no character assaults, there's no anything. So the fact that we're able to actually live the creed of being the Bigfoot Outlaw family is a wonderful thing. So thank you all. And as Grizzly would say, from coast to coast around the world, everybody have a great night, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.